Yeah, I can go back and actually use this as an example. So this line, I've played many times online, and players these days are aware of the trap, at least at a very high level. And the best move for white in this position is not to play e4. E4 was a blunder. White should play f4, which is unnatural because it completely changes up the plan. Like, white's no longer going for this e4 break, but white is targeting the knight on g5. And after this move, I would essentially be forced to move back to e6. And then this is still part of my opening preparation. You can see my arrows here that it's still playable, but white would be slightly better objectively from this position. So these days when I play very serious tournaments, and if I know my opponent is preparing against me, I might mix things up even sooner. And there are some other lines that I've recently been enjoying playing. One example is, rather than playing c6, there's a kind of cool surprise weapon to play bishop e7, pawn e3, pawn h6, bishop h4, and bishop to g4. It's a very rare weapon that Magnus Carlsen has used a handful of times. And I don't think I'm going to go into too much depth now, but it's kind of a cool idea to maybe avoid preparation that I'm planning to do for the other one. Any more relevant questions? I think I'll move on to a few other like really nice themes that inspired me to pick up a particular opening. And I want to share one of my favorite weapons against the Catalan opening, which is a very common opening, especially at the Grandmaster level these days. Starting with, there's a bunch of move orders to get to the Catalan, but basically starting with this position, pawn g3. And when I was much younger, below the rating of 2000, below 2200, I really struggled finding an exciting weapon to play against the Catalan, because it's just so solid for white. I usually play bishop g2 with castling, and I always had trouble developing my Lightsford bishop on the queen side. Then, I have to say, about 15, maybe more than 15 years ago, I came across an absolutely beautiful game played by Grandmaster Eric Rosen, who's now a good friend of mine. And at the time, Ray was playing a very rare weapon against the Catalan, starting with taking on c4, bishop g2, and then bishop to b4 check, bishop d2. And nowadays, this move is a bit more common, but back then it was almost never played. This move here, pawn to c5. And for the last many years, this has been one of my favorite weapons to meet the Catalan, because it leads to a lot of fun dynamic positions. There's a lot of potential traps, which maybe I'll share a few traps before we dig into the meat of the game. But essentially, black is creating a lot of tension between the pawns, the bishops, and giving white maybe a few options and also a few ways to go wrong. So